Phantasmal Flames isn't what collectors expected, though it's exactly what's needed right now. And I'm going to tell you why that is in just a second, though in today's video I'm actually gifting a subscriber both the Carablast and Execute illustration rares. Now if I reply to your comment with this Squirtle emoji, then congrats, these two cards are coming your way. And hey, if you're new to the channel or just new to Pokemon cards in general, welcome aboard. My name's Phil and I cover topics all around Pokemon cards and Pokemon in general. Feel free to subscribe to be kept in the loop. Now Phantasmal Flames obviously has a lot of discussion, though it has been released at a bit of an awkward time slot because the hobby is going through much of a cool down period right now, okay? Especially with card prices really coming down quicker than expected. The hobby is just, you know, moving at different paces. Now, Phantasmal Flames, I have to admit, it is one of the first sets I've seen that has had a weaker reception to a lot of people than, you know, a lot of previous sets. Now, what I'm about to tell you is totally anecdotal. It's a story, but, you know, nonetheless, it's, you know, the stories that we're hearing now from people are interesting. Though, I had a call with my friend and he was walking through a store and he was like, whoa, what the hell? All these people are lining up. What's going on? So he kind of asked people, hey, why are you guys lining up? And they're like, hey, it's a new Pokemon set. And he got talking with a guy there. And the guy said, yeah, man, this is nothing. There looks like there's only 7 or 8 people in front of me. Last time for the previous set that released, there was around 60 people here. And I found that really interesting when my friend told me that, because even though you know, that we're hearing so much of those stories right now, and we're hearing that like, hey, I'm finding cards, you know, in store at the moment, or you know, people saying, hey, when I try to sell, it's not as easy as it was, you know, in the middle of 2025. And I think these changes are happening. And the thing with Phantasmal Flames, it has so many things good about the set, but there's so many missteps. And I do feel as a set, it is probably the first set where I feel that it's like, oh, you know what? I'm not actually thinking that this is that great as a lot of people kind of anticipated. One of the issues in the hobby is, you know, new sets release and people like to, you know, hype them up. Now, I'm not saying that I've actually hyped up a lot of sets before they've released as well, but personally, I've always felt they've been great sets, okay? When I saw Black Bolt White Flare, I thought they were fantastic. When I saw Destined Rivals and what we were getting, it was a Team Rocket throwback set. To me, it looked great. Same with Prismatic Evolutions, okay? Though when I saw Phantasmal Flames, and I did speak about it as well in previous videos, I immediately thought it was pretty mid. I didn't think that the Charizard chase card was that much of a draw factor to make it go like to these insane prices. One thing you're gonna see in comments, okay, a lot of people say, oh, you know what? The Charizard, man, that's enough to make this set. If you're hearing that people say a Charizard card is enough to kind of hold a set and make it become really valuable in the long term, they are most likely new to the hobby. And I'm not being nasty, but the thing is, the hobby has a lot of kind of people that come in. It's very high churn. And people make opinions and they say comments of what they want to be true. And you know, a lot of people that come in, or new people, they just think, hey, oh, it's a Charizard. Of course Phantasmal Flames is gonna be an iconic set because it's a Charizard chase card in the set. But if you look at previous sets, okay, Charizard is usually not that much of a draw factor in terms of having a very expensive set down the line. In fact, Umbreon and Evolutions are far more likely to be cards that have that draw factor. Same thing, even when we're looking at Paldean Fates, right? Paldean Fates does have a Charizard chase card, and when it released, it was the top chase card, but as time went on, guess what happened? The Bubble Mew took over, okay? And now the Bubble Mew is seen as a far more enticing card than the Charizard. Problem is right now, man, you just bananas, dude. Absolute bananas. They're coming in, I'm seeing it so much. Nah, that Charizard, man, it's enough to make this set, you know, go so crazy and become so iconic. Well, probably not, man, because I mean, the same thing we heard with Obsidian Flames. Look at Darkness Ablaze. I remember when Darkness Ablaze came out, everyone was talking about that Charizard chase card. Please tell me who is looking at that Charizard VMAX today and saying, wow, that's so incredible. Even Champion's Path, man. Look at Champion's Path with the Rainbow Rare Charizard. You know, when that released, crazy hype, yeah? People were just absolutely like, whoa, it's a Rainbow Rare Charizard. The pull rates on that thing were really hard, but today it's not really spoken about that much. But I mean, you know, like Phantasmal Flames is somewhat not meeting expectations, and there's a few issues with the set, and in general with the English version, because I actually think the Japanese Inferno X is much better. And I think with Phantasmal Flames, we're looking at the weakest English set we've had since Shrouded Fable. Now, there's actually a few differences with Inferno X and Phantasmal Flames, though let's start with the small one, and I mean, this may be small, but to some it's considered massive, but it's the Japanese Charizard SAR versus the English SIR. The English artwork completely covers Charmander Charander's face and eyes, and it obstructs the artwork, while the Japanese version kept it visible in the frame. And I know it seems nitpicky to some, but honestly, I understand why a lot of collectors are annoyed at this. And I just think it's a little bit of a lazy kind of oversight to, cover Charmander in the artwork as well. And the other reason is because in Phantasmal Flames, you cannot pull the Oricorio Special Illustration Rare that's only available in the Ultra Premium Collection, whereas you can actually pull it within Inferno X as a SAR pull. I know this may sound like a reach, but I sometimes feel Charizard sets make Charizard such a standout that they almost fear to have any cards competing with it, and given Shinji Kana's popularity as an illustrator and the fact that he designed Oricorio, it definitely could have been a competitor for the Charizard in Phantasmal Flames. But in all honesty, I actually think Inferno X is the better version. Now, while on the topic of Japanese Pokemon cards, if you do love purchasing Japanese products, then I do want to give a quick shout out to today's video sponsor, Bai. Now, Bai is a Japanese proxy shopping service that acts as your shopping bridge from Japan. Here you can buy Japanese exclusive items. You can browse through a bunch of Japanese marketplaces and find items that you're looking for. For example, the Japanese Pokemon Inferno X booster box has been super popular, and the whole Mega Evolution era has been as well. When you're on Bai, you can just easily search for anything that you're looking for, such as Pokemon cards or Pokemon booster box. Bai will then show you what's available. Once you make your order, the items get sent to Bai's warehouse, and then they're packaged and get ready for international shipment to your door. Bai delivers to multiple regions, including North America, Oceania, and Europe. Now, what's so cool is that if you are a first-time user, you can actually get a 10% discount off your first order. All the details for that are in the video's description. A big thanks to Bai for supporting the channel. Now let's jump back into this video, because yeah, I mean, prices for the set are really high, but I'm super interested to see what's gonna happen in around a month from today. We can see Mega Evolution, dude. Mega Evolution booster boxes are going through a very big drawback, and I think because everyone thought, oh wow, Mega Evolution was gonna be insane. Oh wow, but you know what? People aren't that kind of vibing with it, right? Everyone said, look at the pull rates of these mega hyper rare gold cards. Interesting things when we're looking at some of the prices. I'm on eBay right now, okay? Now, Phantasmal Flames, currently on eBay, you can buy it for $300 US, right here selling for $299. Same thing here with a case for $1,800. So it is a very expensive booster box right now. As you can see, the price on eBay, people aren't just giving this set away. It definitely is at a high price point at the moment. Though, like I said, I'm really interested to see how it goes because, there's a lot of things with this new Mega Evolution era that we're kind of in. I think Legends EA has brought in a fair few people, and I do mention it in a previous video, but I did kind of speak about Legends EA and some of the areas within Pokemon Legends EA that needed it felt like they kind of went half strength with that game. And we're now entering this new era that has all these connection points to Legends EA, and this whole new era is based off that. But, maybe it's not the strongest kind of foundation point for this kind of whole new TCG era that we're in. We still are waiting for Generation 10. I'm kind of thinking, was Legends EA big enough? And, we've got the DLC coming up and, there's going to be more fans coming in. But was that game big enough to pull in and, hold a whole TCG era on its own, not being an entire generation, okay? When we talk about Pokemon like a Legends Arceus, that had a few sets inspired from Legends Arceus, like Astral Radiance, but it definitely didn't have a whole era that kind of made Legends Arceus have its own TCG spin-off kind of new era until Generation 9 came out. That's what we're currently doing right now. We kind of ended the Scarlet and Violet era. We're in this new Mega Evolution phase. We've got Pokemon Champions coming out. There's so many things happening in the Pokemon world. And my question right now, is Legends EA enough of a foundation to hold the TCG and to hold people's interest all the way until Generation 10? Who knows? Now, another thing that we need to look at is the Mega Charizard Special Illustration Rare. I'm on eBay. Now, just looking at what people are currently listing the Mega Charizard Special Illustration Rare, 1,000 US, 1,100. We can see here $850 with 25 watches. So there's a bit of price discrepancy on these, 879, 1,250. So, apparently it's easier to pull than a lot of people expected, okay? That has been the feedback for this Mega Charizard SIR. And to me, that makes a lot of sense given previous Charizard sets. Usually the Charizard chase cards are not usually that hard to pull. And, you know, we've seen this same story a fair bit. You know, when Obsidian Flames came out and everyone saw that terrestrialized Charizard, everyone was like, wow, it's going to be the most expensive card. This is going to be a huge chase. And it wasn't that hard to pull. And then, you know, even now, today, that isn't even in the top 30 most expensive cards from the Scarlet and Violet era. But, you know, when it released early on, everyone hyped it up. Maybe similar things happening here. Same thing with Darkness Ablaze Charizard. You know, people were hyping that up, and then people couldn't believe how much that kind of dropped in price. And, you know, still to this day, that card is an easy pickup if anyone wants it today. So, you know, just be careful in these time periods. It's usually, I kind of also feel, right, with Charizard cards, because it's so like memorable, I kind of feel like they like to have it as an easier pull rate card because it's like such a big kind of iconic Pokemon for people. So it's like they almost want to kind of make that opportunity and that experience that kids and anyone that opens these packs can pull it. But, you know, when I'm looking at Phantasmal Flames and when I really take a deep kind of overview of the set, like I'm just looking, the highlights of this set are definitely the Charizard, okay? I do like the artwork. You know, the illustrator Dan Chow really did a great job with this. And, you know, they also created the Zekrom special illustration rare, and they also created the upcoming Gengar special illustration rare for Mega Dream EX. So they've really, like, the artworks that are coming out are great, and the artist really did a fantastic job on this Charizard. In terms of the other cards in Phantasmal Flames, you know, it's not even part of the mainline set, but the Oricorio is amazing, and that's what I said. Inferno X makes it a little bit better because you can actually pull that in the set. This is kind of reserved for the Mega Charizard X Ultra Premium collection. So, you know, because that Oricorio isn't in there, you know, we've got the Charizard, that's great. We've got the Meowth illustration rare. Definitely cool that this is coming to the English TCG. Took a very long time to come in, but that's a great card as well. And I personally like the Mega Sharpedo as well, but, you know, that's my personal like, because I like Sharpedo. You know, general collectors, a lot of the fan base won't really be that drawn into this card. So, you know, the Mega Lopunny as well, great card. It looks cool, but is it enough to kind of hold a set right now? As I said with Charizard and, you know, the whole Phantasmal Flames, there's just such a big major focus on the Mega Charizard special illustration rare. Everything else is second place. It almost feels like if you buy a booster box of this, it's pull Charizard or bust. And that definitely could have an impact on the prices of the sealed product. And like I said earlier in the video, man, if you are hearing a lot of people saying, nah, this Charizard, man, this is enough to hold this set. This is enough to make this set a crazy investment. This is what like it's all about. Trust me, man. Like, if you've been in the hobby for a while, and, you know, a lot of people that have been collecting for a long time will tell you, and you can just hear it from me on this channel, Charizard historically is not enough, like, to really hold a set. Never really has been previously. When we look at Pokemon 151, yes, the most expensive card in there is the Charizard, okay? But Pokemon 151 is not expensive because of the Charizard special illustration rare. It's expensive because it's literally base set for a modern, you know, revolutionized base set. It has all the original 151 Kanto Pokemon. So much fan demand there, so much nostalgia. Though as much as we're going through some changes with all this, I think Phantasmal Flames may be a bit of a reset point for the hobby, and I think this is needed. But I think a question that's coming up right now is, which Pokemon cards are currently underrated in the market? And I do reveal that in this video right here. Within this video on screen, I actually go over the current underrated Pokemon cards in the market. If you enjoyed this video, definitely feel free to click the video that's appearing on screen right now. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.